Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Paul McNeal of CryptoMarket 360. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show.
Great. So what was your background before coming into crypto?
Wow, I've had a varied background. I've done a little bit all over the place. Give you a quick rundown. So I'll start with the fact that I didn't graduate. That I didn't go to college. I actually just graduated high school. I worked in fast food for a while until the military got a hold of me, and I served 10 years in the Navy serving in submarines. After I got done with my submarine tour, I went to go work as a contractor for the same agency that I worked in when I was enlisted. And that took me great places. And then I eventually switched over to the government side. I then entered a business with a good friend of mine. That was my first entry into entrepreneurship. I did that for about 8 years, made a successful exit, started my own business that I'm still running today, been through commercial real estate, data center sales, and then crypto.
Great. So crypto and blockchain in particular is the up-and-coming technology and so forth. So how do you see the industry evolving at this stage?
The industry is evolving faster than I think a lot of people are aware of. And it's one of the reasons why I started CryptoMarket 360 is to give that 360-degree look. But I did some research, and I'd say about a month and a half of news coverage, we've hit about 50 different countries. This technology is spreading like a virus, as Ari Paul would say, and it's just growing.
And so where do you see it going in the coming 12 months? It's come a long ways, but what do you think would be the turning points in the next 12 months?
The turning point in the next 12 months is going to hinge on two words, and I said this earlier today in our brief. It's going to hinge on regulation and custody. Those are two key words to keep in mind. And if you keep your eyes and ears open to regulation and custody, that's going to be the turning point. We need the regulators to come out with decent and regulation that's fair and easy for people to get around when it comes to cryptocurrency or blockchain technology even. And in addition to that, custody. They need someone who they trust and that they know to handle their crypto for them, because not every organization, every person knows how to handle crypto.
And so for investors out there investing in the blockchain sector, how is the landscape evolving from their point of view? Last year was all about ICOs. What is it about this year?
So we are moving on from ICOs. ICOs used to be a Wild Wild West. It was easy to raise money with them. That's not the case anymore. Security token offering is going to be the next thing that you see come up as being the avenue for investors to get involved in. Most of those involve the accredited investors, but there are platforms that are out there that are for the non-accredited investor. For instance, like NewChip, they have a platform that allow the every average day person to invest right alongside the accredited investor. So I see that being a place where investors should begin to look and turn to find opportunity.
And so what's your investment thesis for this sector? Where do you think the wins are going to come at this stage?
So I was fortunate enough to get in early. I was aware of Bitcoin in 2011. I wasn't smart enough to immediately do anything at that moment. It took me about a year before I was fully convinced that this was something. So I would apply for me in my situation, and I tell everyone's situation is different. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And that's the first thing I ask myself. What is my ultimate goal in investing with this particular asset? And from there, so that from the time that I've been involved, if you can only imagine, I'm at a buy and hold type of mentality. I've acquired a certain amount of digital assets that I'm comfortable with. And I believe if the future is what I think it's going to be, that I will be just fine where I'm currently sitting.
And so which sectors do you think are going to be the winners in blockchain? There's many applications, fintech, supply chain, et cetera. Where do you think the early wins will be in that sector?
The early wins as far as blockchain technology is definitely supply chain. You nailed it. That's exactly where we're seeing a lot of traction. I believe it was Laura Shin in the New York Times Deal Book wrote an article on that today, as a matter of fact, looking at supply chain. Outside of supply chain, I look at identity being the next sort of place. Microsoft is playing in the identity space. You have Civic that's playing in the identity space. If you can only imagine if we had identity on the blockchain, and I know it's scary to say this, but if everyone's identity was on the blockchain, it would remove identity theft. Now that we can satisfactorily identify every person, we can now enter what I consider a frictionless society where folks can move around and you can interact with Internet of Things and systems with your ID.
So there's still a lot of challenges and risk in this sector. What do you think the biggest challenge is in this space, particularly for the investor? What should they be looking for?
For the investor, a couple things. So the first thing, if you're thinking about entering this space, please take the time to educate yourself and understand what these digital assets are and how you should get involved with them. Security is paramount. You are taking your own capital into your hands and you're safeguarding that. So you need to understand the security and ramifications around what it means to keep your assets secure. The other piece of that I would say is the projects that investors, from my perspective, should pay attention to is CoinMarketCap have a great website where it lists almost all these digital assets. I stick within the top 10. Blockchain technology, there are some blockchain ETFs that investors could look at. There also will be a Bitcoin ETF that's coming out. So if they don't want to deal directly with cryptocurrency, there are ways to invest in the technology without touching the actual cryptocurrency.
So what are the risks in this space? Of course, with the ICOs, there's quite a bit of risk with the startup not making it. But as we move into the security world and there's a lot more structure around it and support around it, where does the risk shift to?
From my perspective, again, I think the risk is still going to stay with the investor, understanding which projects to invest in. And again, looking at all aspects like you would do any type of a project, the team that's behind it. Do they have an actual solid plan? Are they well backed? Those types of things. If you are focusing on, again, do they have an actual working product technology that's out there? Can they get it to market? Can it scale? Those are the type of things that you want to pay attention to. Blindly putting money into any project, whether it's ICO, STO, any other future projects that come out without doing your own due diligence is just a mistake. Take the time to educate yourself. Nothing's going to happen tomorrow. You have time. We are still early. This is the first inning of this. And so for anyone not to take that time to do that, that would be on their shoulders.
What do you see the immediate opportunities to pursue? Are there any particular coins or securities or others you think are really worth looking at?
If I was entering this space for the very first time without knowing anything, and right now everyone is a little bit nervous because it looks like it's definitely a bear market, but that's where I think there's opportunity. Again, for myself, I stick within the top 10 market cap projects that are out there because they have volume, they have liquidity to them, and I think that's just where opportunities are. Now, if you are a speculative type of an investor and you do have the ability and resources to sort of play around, some of the other technologies that are out there, some of the other projects that are out there, they very well might be some opportunity to get some quick gains. But if you're looking to buy and hold, I would say stick with the top 10 on CoinMarketCap.
Well, in the last few minutes we have here today, what else should we cover?
I would like to let your listeners know, as I had mentioned earlier, it's so important to understand what's going on. The projects that I'm working on right now with CryptoMarket 360, we have the CM360 brief. It's a way for you to truly see 360 degrees of this market daily, and it's quickly summarized into an easy 3 to 5 read. That if you were to subscribe to that CM360 brief, which is no cost, it does provide you information that you need to make decisions. Rather that's actually investing in the technology, or maybe there's some of the listeners that are looking to actually build companies around this technology or leverage it for their existing business. All of those applications can be done by reading the news. And the news is a lagging indicator, we realize, but when you look at the news comprehensively on a daily basis, you begin to see trends develop, and that sends you signals as to what you should do going forward.
Well, that's great. So how best for the listener to get back in touch with you?
Listeners can get in contact with me. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Paul McNeal, McNeal. You can definitely follow me on Twitter. I'm highly active there at TessModS. You can even follow CryptoMarket 360 on Twitter as well.
Well, great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Hope to have you back for a follow-on very soon and appreciate your taking time.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.